Friction is a force that two surfaces exert on each other when they rub against each other.
Friction depends on two things. One, a rough surface, and two, the force of the object. As you can see, the rough surface and the force of the object caused a minor fraction in the wood piece. This is what is known as friction.
Okay, so there are 4 types of friction. First of all, there is sliding friction. Next, there is static friction. There is also fluid friction, and there is rolling friction.
The first being static friction. Static friction takes place when an object rests on a certain surface. An example would be when Kevin is walking down the street. As he steps, his feet stay still on the cement, kind of in a resting pattern. And this causes him not to slip. This is an example of static friction.
This is an example of static friction. As you can see, the teddy bear is sitting down in a restless position on the power box. Sliding friction is friction that takes place when a certain object slides over a surface. For example, Riley sliding over the grass.
Another example of sliding friction is me pulling Kevin down this hill, with the box sliding against the grass. Rolling friction is when an object rolls down a surface.
An example would be a skateboard going down a hill. Another example of rolling force would be when I throw this rock down that hill. Oh no! Oh no! No!
Fluid friction is when friction acts on the object when it's going through fluids and through air, also known as going against air resistance.
Gravity is the force that pulls two objects towards each other. The two things that gravity depends on are the mass of the objects and the distance between them.
As you can see, an example of gravity is when I throw this rock up. As you can see, it never goes straight up and straight back down. It goes at a curve.
Projectile motion is when an object is either shot or thrown at a horizontal angle. The mass and gravity of the Earth and of its force is enough to pull the rock or object that is being shot or thrown down, and the acceleration of the object is not enough to counter the Earth's gravity. Go.
An example of projectile motion is when I throw this rock at a horizontal angle. Its projectile motion is not enough to counter the gravity pull of the Earth.
Compression takes place on an object when it is either compressed or stretched. An example of compression is this pen spring. When compressed, it can return back to its normal state or form.
An example of compression would be when this Tempur-Pedic headrest is pushed and compressed towards each other, and it returns back to its original state.
Tension is the force that pulls something outward in elastic form. It is the opposite of compression. An example of tension would be those rubber bands stretching out and being returned to its original state, like that. Another example of tension would be these PE shorts being stretched outwards and then being returned to its original state.
Stupid.